What if we move to a level of consciousness where we could actually embrace an idea where we said, this too shall pass? What if we could move to a consciousness where we could recognize that this simply came as an experience, and this too has the ability to pass. It doesn't have to stay here any longer than I insist on it. And then what if we moved even higher in consciousness to a place where we recognized that we could bypass that particular illness completely? That we wouldn't even have to have that. That there's nothing that mandates having that illness, whatever that illness is. And then what if we moved even higher to the point where we recognize that we could move to a place where we realize that we never even have to be sick, ever? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. And we never, ever have to be sick. But here's the question. See, will your consciousness support a life where sickness is no longer a necessity? That's what he's talking about when he says we have to move to a higher consciousness. Are we walking around with the belief that, well, you're going to have something, you got to have something? No, you don't. No, we really don't. So moving from a place where we shift from devastation of a diagnosis to the reality that this will pass, and then moving to a place where we realize that we don't have to have it in the beginning, and then moving to a place where we realize we don't have to have any of it. That's movement. That's going higher. That's going deeper. So we're talking about expanding belief this morning. We want to rise in consciousness to that place where radiant health is already happening. The party's already going on. Some of us aren't experiencing the party because we're in our lower consciousness. We're operating from our lower self. So we want to move to our higher self, and then we want to move to our highest self. And that's where radiant health lives. Complete within itself. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Dr. Ernest Holmes said it so simply. He said, what we're looking for, we're looking with and looking at. It's all happening right now. It's happening. The party's going on right now. Some of us are experiencing the party. Some of us aren't. Dr. Dyer quotes Neville in his book. He says, as Neville so succinctly stated, it is I am's concept of itself that determines the form and the scenery of its existence. Everything depends upon its attitude toward itself. That which it will not affirm as true of itself cannot awaken in its world. Wow. So what is he saying? He's saying, don't expect prosperity to awaken in your world if you don't know you're already prosperous. If that's not part of your identity. If that's not what you're claiming for yourself right now, it can't awaken in our world. See, what we have to recognize based on what Neville is telling us is that it's not only is it in us, we were born this way. We don't get it, we embrace it, we accept it. We were born this way. See, we're affirming I am prosperous, and it's not dependent on anything out here. Nothing out here. I am prosperous. That's my consciousness. That's what I know about myself. And as I know it about myself, it can awaken in my world and manifest itself, pressed down and running over. So if we're not experiencing it, it doesn't mean it's not here. The party is going on. Some of us are not at the party. But it's happening right now. All of it is happening right now. They're just getting down, having a really good time. The party's happening now. So we have to lift it up, rise up, as Maya Angelou says. Rise up, keep rising up to that point where we recognize it's here, it's got to be here. I remember somebody that I was working with that was going through a prosperity issue came back to me after treatment and said to me, they said, Dar, I'm experiencing prosperity, but I'm terrified. And I said, well, why are you terrified? And he said, because I haven't done anything. Yeah, I said, well, that's the thing. It's not a doing. It's a being. It's your being. It's in you. It's innate. It's inherent in our being. So one of the things that we have to do, though, is to look at the purpose of the obstacles that show up in our lives. The obstacles like illness, the obstacles like lack and limitation, the obstacles like sorrow and painful experiences. See, because one of the problems that we have is that we haven't gotten their purpose right. Most of the time we think that those things show up because we're being punished for something that we did or didn't do. If I just hadn't spent all that money, I'd have some right now. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. Because we can only have what our consciousness can support. If I had done something different, I wouldn't be sick right now. Nope, that's not the point. Our consciousness must clothe itself in form every single time. So sometimes we perceive the presence of lack and limitation, or the presence of illness and the presence of sorrow and pain. We perceive those things as punishment. But what we have to do is to begin to reevaluate the purpose of what's showing up in our lives. Reevaluate it based on the fact that we live in a universe of love. Love is what's driving. Okay, so if we live in a universe of love, then maybe the purpose of illness and lack and sorrow would have to be to remind us that radiant health and prosperity and joy must be at hand. Nothing more. Or if this is here, it means that prosperity has to exist. If you're experiencing this pain right now, that joy has to exist. If you're experiencing that lack right now, that prosperity has to exist. Go deeper. Go higher. Look beyond what you see right in front of you and go deeper, go higher. Recognize this is here to remind me of something. This is not here to punish me. It's here to remind me, I'll say it again, that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And what is the kingdom of heaven? Love, light, power, peace, joy, prosperity, freedom, health, wholeness, wisdom. All of it has to be here right now. So it's not a punishment, it's a reminder. It's a reminder that you're not ordinary. You're extraordinary. It's a reminder that you're a superstar. It's a reminder that you were born this way. Dyer tells us in Wishes Fulfilled, he said, I'm inviting you to be receptive to a radical new idea about yourself. It's radical because ever since you left your mother's womb, you've been subjected to cultural conditioning designed to help you be content with living a normal life at the level of ordinary consciousness, which generally means accepting whatever life hands you. In many ways, you've been programmed to believe that you do not possess the wisdom or ability to manifest the fulfillment of your wishes and desires. A little later on, he says, making the transition from the level of ordinary consciousness to the level of super consciousness involves a fundamental renewal, a dramatic change of personality. Having that experience in my life, that fulfilled desire in my life, what is my personality now? What's holding me back now? How am I feeling now? Am I holding back now? Or am I shouting it to the world, look at what I allowed to come through me? Is that a personality change? Is that allowing us to open up and let something out that maybe we've been kind of holding on to up till now? He says, affirm what you're ready to see, even though the physical evidence strongly indicates otherwise. Go higher. Go deeper. He says, imagine it. Live as if it's your reality. Allow no detractors, but most important, assume the feeling of it, and you will merge with it, and it will merge with you, so that it is no longer a duality. There's that oneness we heard about this morning. See, but I really want to just stress this before I end. Changing our belief is sometimes a little bit more difficult than maybe we think it is. Because it entails, as Dyer was telling us earlier, changing what we believe we know to be absolutely true. And I was sitting and I was working on this week, and I had on CNN. And I heard three stories this week that were just phenomenal, that really spoke to what I'm talking about this morning. The first story was about a soccer player. He was dead for 78 minutes, according to the doctors. And his heart started beating again. Now today, he's still in intensive care, serious condition. He's coherent, he's talking, he's speaking both English and French. Could that happen in your consciousness? Could that be a part of the consciousness that you believe, in terms of what you believe is true of life right now? Can somebody die for 78 minutes and then their heart starts beating again? Can you include that? Can you stretch? Is that some stretching that I hear going on right now in the audience? Can you stretch and let something like that come in as a possibility? Second story I heard was about Sugar the cat. She fell 19 stories from a high-rise building to the ground. She landed on a small patch of mulch and grass. Very small patch. It was really interesting. And she escaped with just a cut to her lip and a miter bruise on her lungs. Is that believable? to you? 19 stories, guys. 19 stories. Can you embrace that? Could you believe that's possible based on what you believe is absolutely true? As Anderson Cooper heard the story, it was on his show that it was announced. He said, I don't think I can believe that. And I said to myself, well, I sure hope you never fall from a 19th story window then. And then the third story I heard was a beautiful story. It was about people, it was about a man in Iran who got a little bit tired of all the talk of war. And he posted a post online where he said, I love the people of Israel, and I want war, not peace. And thousands of people have signed on to that page. Oh, I'm sorry, peace, not war. Okay, thank you. Okay. I'm just trying to see if you were listening. Okay, only Pat picked it up, all right? Okay, he said, I want peace, not war. And thousands of people have signed on to that page. Now, it didn't stop there, because now there is a piece in Israel, a page in Israel. Israel hearts Iran. And 7,000 people have signed on saying the same thing back. Can you accept this? All right, see? Okay, so I just want you to see how it feels when you move in consciousness, where you let your consciousness expand and let something new in. That it doesn't have to be the way that it's always been. One person did something different. So every obstacle, we want to recognize that every obstacle that shows up to remind us, I'm not ordinary, I'm extraordinary, I'm a superstar, I was born this way. See? Every bully that shows up, I'm not ordinary, I'm extraordinary, I'm a superstar, I was born this way. Every illness, I am not ordinary, I'm extraordinary, I'm a superstar, I was born this way. Every appearance of lack, I'm not ordinary, I'm extraordinary, I'm a superstar. Yes, I am, and so are you. That's the thing we want to recognize. And the more you affirm it, the more it becomes your new natural, to the point where you begin to think from here. And then suddenly you hear yourself singing it out to the world. You say, I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regrets, just love yourself and be set. I'm on the right track, baby, I was born this way. Ooh, there ain't no other way, baby, you were born this way. Baby, you were born this way. Ooh, there ain't no other way. Baby, you're on the right track. Baby, you were born this way. My mama told me when I was young, we were all born superstars. And so it is.